serious? Escorts of Reddit, what was your first day at work like? I put my ad up on a website. He replied. We set up a meeting. He paid for the room and got there first. I was so nervous. I imagined being arrested for prostitution. My picture in the paper. What would my family say? I imagined being choked to death. Unable to scream. So many horrible thoughts. I regretted this. I shouldn't be doing this. This is horrible. Karma is going to get me. When he opened the door, he had this welcoming, warm smile. We began making out. And really all that happened after that was 45 minutes of being eaten out and less than 1 minute of sex at the end that I wished would have lasted longer. He offered extra money at the end. I absolutely was expecting to feel degraded and used at the end of this. Instead, I felt like I had just been worshipped. We kept in touch for 3 years afterward. On the drive home, I said to myself, and to think I've been doing this for free all this time. It's been a long time since I did massage work. And I only did it for a few months. I was young. The place was brand new and it was the opening day. I turned up early and only one guy came that day. It was also his first time, which made it a lot easier. We were both pretty nervous, but that seemed to comfort him. We chatted as I showered him. He had kids. I'm pretty sure he had a wife too, but maybe divorced. Ex-army. He was really nice. We went into one of the rooms and started the massage. It was height of summer and it turned out the windows were broken in the room I was in, and because we'd only just opened, no fans. It was alright at first. Bit of warmth. But then once we started getting into other stuff, we were both getting so hot and sticky. We finished off and we were both dripping with sweat. It was pretty grim. Luckily we both found it kinda funny and ignored it. He went for another shower and I looked in the mirror. All of my eye makeup had completely run down my face. He basically ducked a panda. I met the guy in the internet. Went to his house and sucked his big dick. He sucked my big dick. Then we sat around smoking cigarettes and talking for a while. Then cuddled and went to bed. He gave me $300. I felt so powerful and fucking beautiful. That intoxicating sense of hot damn, I'm worth something became addicting. I eventually was running with 4 regular clients. All except one were just lonely old guys who wanted to get their rocks off and have some company. They treated me well and paid me better. Between them I was making about $2,500 a month on top of my legit day job. Not a bad deal for a college student. I work in a brothel. And my first night was terrifying. So much so that I didn't make a single cent. But I went back the next night and persevered and was assigned a friend, and from there it was awesome. My first client was a house reg. And I couldn't stop shaking. But he was really sweet. My mentor and I have become best friends and I have turned it into an amazing business for myself. Throwaway. Because obviously, I was living across the country from anyone I knew. I needed to make some cash. So I turned to the oldest profession. My first day involved getting driven out into the suburbs of a affluent desert town. A guy who owned a limo company paid me $200 to spank me while nude and walk me on a dog leash around a hotel room. I hadn't eaten in almost a week prior. So I went to the grocery store with a friend. Got the fixings for stew and a 6-pack of Guinness. I still to this day don't feel guilty about it, nor do I feel ashamed of anything I did afterwards. I had a full stomach and cash until I found another job. Fine. I was an independent, so I did everything myself except drive. Went. Hung out for a few hours. etc. When I left, all I could think was there's no way it's this easy. But it was. Most of the time it was fun. Being independent. I only saw people I wanted to see, which helped a lot, I guess. Or I finally have a relevant life experience to share and I'm tardy to the party. Oh well, here we go. When I turned 18 I was extremely poor but also extremely cute, so trying to be an escort seemed logical at the time. I signed up for a site called Sexy Escort Ads and got my first email within a week. The client turned out to be around 60 years old and a total freak. Seriously, she rocked my socks. The 1-hour session turned into a whole night. Then in the morning she made me an amazing breakfast. She actually kind of pimped me out a bit by recommending me to a bunch of people. You will be surprised how many guys will throw you a couple hundred to watch you satisfy their wife. This job paid my rent through my senior year of high school. Throw away. Obviously. Pretty much. Through my agency. I was pick of the pack since I'm a virgin and some guys are really into that. There are 4 girls at my club that remain virgins to cater to these guys because it's a pretty common fetish. I was nervous as hell. But I knew that I was chosen by that client specifically for my lack of experience, minus training. So there wasn't much point in hiding it. All the girls were super supportive before I left, giving me lots of tips. I met up with a not totally unappealing, wealthy business type. Pretty typical client. I went to an event as his girlfriend. Got a few drinks. Ate a nice meal. Made conversation. We actually had a lot of fun coming up with my backstory on the way there. How we met. My name. Etc. We went back to a hotel room and he wanted a dance. Granted. Then some dry humping and oral sex. Granted. He really got off on the fact it was my first time. And that he was my first client. Spent most of the night there. He didn't push the no penetrative sex rule. He ended up giving me $3,000. I was really wound up all the way home. And honestly, I'd never seen that much cash in my whole life. I'd heard other girls say they've done this. And I guess I couldn't help myself either because the second I got home I masturbated with the wad of cash in one hand because I was so turned on from the night's activities plus money. I knew it wouldn't always be like that. But oh my god. It's been 2 years since then. And he's still a regular of mine. I haven't told him yet. But I'm pretty sure he'd love it. Edit, getting a lot of responses. I want to reply to you also, please be patient. Thanks. I'm still not really sure what to call myself even to this day. Over a year later since I first accepted money for sex. I don't work for an agency and I don't work every day. Every so often I will meet up with one of them and I have an arrangement with. In total I have only ever met 3 guys for straight up sex, sometimes just oral. When I say that I mean there was no arrangement or relationship type deal. The first time was with a guy that contacted me through a dating site. It took me a while to actually meet up with him. But eventually I did and I don't remember feeling upset. I was glad to have the extra money as I wasn't working at the time. The first guy and second were great. The third was awful and I had to shower for a long time after. That is what I would call prostitution. Eventually at a bar while drunk I found a man in a business suit. He wanted to take me home and somehow we agreed on a price. I saw him for 7 months. I would call that escorting or having an SD. As sometimes we would just go for dinner or I would come hang out at his house for a few hours. I never stayed the night and very rarely did we do anything sexual. He would still give me upwards of $300 each time I saw him. I was always on edge and worrying about running into someone I knew while out with him. He was much older. It would look fishy. So it got to the point of going very far out of town or just staying in. This is probably going to get buried but I'd like to tell my story, so here we go. So firstly, for a little background, I had recently gotten out of being homeless. I was just getting out of a nasty heroin habit. I now had a house with some awesome roommates. But for reasons that I honestly cannot recall I was in a terrible situation money wise. I think I had lost my job and was not able to feed myself. And it was getting close to rent day. After thinking about it for a while I posted an ad on Craigslist offering my services. I weeded through the total creeps. And after lots of hesitation I decided to meet a man in front of a corner store near my house. He showed up. I got into his car. And I tried my best to put on some kind of confident attitude. I'm normally fairly shy and quite insecure. He seemed to buy the act. And he told me that I was really pretty. Which actually felt very nice to hear. We got to his apartment and spoke for a few minutes. And then the reality hit me of what I was about to do. Since there was no going back from there, I just went for it. And tried to make it as good for him as possible. I fumbled with the condom because I hadn't used one in a while. I had been in a rel TR just prior. He didn't last long, which made the experience a bit better. He gave me my money and drove me back to where he picked me up. We spoke about all kinds of things along the way. I told him I was fairly new to this and about my goals of going into healthcare. He seemed surprised but proud. Overall, it went a lot better than it potentially could have. And I never ended up having to do it again. Which I am happy about, because it did leave a bit of a mark on my dignity. I'm happy to say that I have now managed to save up money, go back to school, and am now living my dream of working in healthcare. I've done it only once. After that, I got sick again and it forced me to stop. Kinda a standard in my life. Anyway, I placed an ad on an Escort site with fees for a variety of things I would do. I had a ton of people lined up, though many bailing. Many others were serious. Site required a membership for the clients, so more serious people than you'd have on a free site. Anyway, my first, and sadly last, day on the job was easy. The guy paid me up front, as I required. He paid for the things he planned to do plus tip, and he didn't get around to doing most of them. It turned into a very short encounter of like 10-15 minutes and he was all done. Being respectful, I offered him the money back for the extras we didn't do, but he was okay with it. Was easy money. Thrilling to do, but kinda scary. I am considering trying again in the near future. First day, I did a funeral. He didn't want his family to know he was gay till after the will was read and followed out. 4 months later I went with the same guy to Thanksgiving dinner and picked a fight after pie about how all he cared about was his stupid job and we broke up. I never slept with my clients, so I didn't make as much as some of the other girls. I mostly did events for gentlemen with party obligations who work too much for a regular girlfriend. I ended up at a party once with a such couple that my client totally hated because they usually got drunk and ducked in the coat room. She was a friend of mine and we worked for the same company. Overall, if I wasn't a single mother I would do it again. It was fun and the money was good. Well, it was a little awkward. After we talked for 5 or 10 minutes he wanted me to go upstairs. As I was midway he wanted me to come back down but do it with my underwear off. He was holding on to my nuts all the way up. I never bottomed. And I only did things if there was a condom. My biggest struggle was trying to get hard for my clients. Honestly, it was great. Nerve-wracking, but pretty damn awesome. I got to go to an aquarium. Yeah, I know. But that was the date that he wanted to go on before the date he paid for. So cool. First client was a really good guy. Ended up being a pretty awesome regular as time went on. And I saw him for over a year total. In fact, when I quit escorting the first time, he was the last client I let go of and I saw him twice past my quit date. Just to make sure that he wasn't left in the lurch without someone else to take care of him. Overall, the majority of guys that I see are like him. There are a few freaks, but the majority of people that have made me go I'm never seeing this guy again are because our fetishes just don't match up. Or they are demanding. But even demanding doesn't mean they are bad guys. It's just a personality trait that doesn't match up with mine. Of course, there are the creeps that want to record you, the weirdos that want freebies, and the guys that just don't get it and think that you are a girlfriend they can text or call anytime. But those are more annoying than dangerous. I did this work for about 2 years. Took a 10-year break. Came back to it. And am coming up on my 3rd year overall. I have had a total of 3 clients that I would consider dangerous. And only one that ever tried to actually harm me.